Hello, welcome back to another episode of Football Scientific. I am Aaron Sauter, writer for your UFL News Hub and CFL News Hub, and this is Timmy, the trash talking Tiger Shark. Today we're going to run through the last 24 hours of transactions in the NFL, CFL, and UFL. A reminder, many of these transactions in the NFL are being done so that way teams are prepared. They're preparing for free agency starting on Wednesday. They're dumping cap space. They're dumping guys who are descending so they can pick up other guys to replace them and boost their team. So let's go through that. A few big news items before we start. Geno Smith, quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, was traded to the Las Vegas Raiders. That's a big move because a lot of quarterbacks were being rumored to go to the Raiders. Sam Darnold from the Vikings. They're not bringing him back, it sounds like. They're going to re-sign Daniel Jones instead at quarterback. Aaron Rodgers situation, leaving the Jets. He's rumored to go to the Raiders. I don't think that's going to happen now that they traded for Geno Smith. That changes a lot of the pieces in the free agency market coming up on Wednesday, okay? So let's run down these transactions real quick. So first, the Las Vegas Raiders, they waived defensive tackle Tamari Fox, clearing up space and making roster spots. The San Francisco 49ers claimed cornerback Trey Tomlin. He was on waivers. It's a low-risk pickup. If they can find a spot for him, that's cool. If not, they can just dump him. That'll be all right, okay? The Tennessee Titans, they went through and they have re-upped linebacker Otis Reese. He's a special teams contributor, but he had 16 tackles and 1 interception in 2024. He's coming back to the Titans. Next, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a big signing. They extended linebacker Levante David for 1 season. That's going to be a $10 million deal, $9 million guaranteed. Last year, it was his 14th season with Tampa Bay. He's a long-time Tampa Bay Buccaneer. 2024, he produced 122 tackles, 5.5 sacks, defended 6 passes, had 1 interception, 3 fumbles, 4 straight fumbles, and recovered 1. That's been amazing. Since 2012, he has 1,111 tackles, which is the most on his team. That's pretty awesome. He's coming back for a 14th season. Still very productive. He must be taking care of himself and making some good decisions. Great job, Tampa Bay. Boop. All right, next, the Atlanta Falcons have released fullback Robert Burns. Fullbacks are rare nowadays. If you look at the Falcons, they want to run the ball. They may pick up a full. They may have someone in mind. Scattaboo from Arizona, maybe. Okay. Next, the LA Chargers have released running back Gus Edwards. If you remember, Gus Edwards came from the Ravens to the Chargers. Last year, he only averaged 3.6 yards per carry for 101 carries. Cutting him frees up $3.13 million in cap space. Goodbye, Gus Edwards. And I don't personally have a hard time with Gus Edwards because I keep putting him on my fantasy team as a second running back, and he never measures up. So I can understand the Chargers' frustration with him. Next, the Washington Commanders. They have renegotiated and reached agreement with running back Chris Rodriguez. He's not a primary running back for them. They have running back issues. They need a primetime running back. They put him over the top. But he is a contributor. Last year he had 35 carries for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he caught 1 pass for 12 yards. I'm not sure if I would have re-signed him. But I guess we're going to see what happens. They need to get a running back in the draft. Okay. Big news. Las Vegas Raiders, they trade with Seattle Seahawks. For quarterback Geno Smith. Okay, that cost them, the Raiders, a 3rd-round draft pick, which, if you look at the Raiders' drafts the last couple of years, they don't tend to make good draft decisions. So the fact they can trade a pick that they'll probably waste on someone who's not very good. They pick up Geno Smith, who's had a resurgence in his career since going to Seattle. Now, he is expensive. He's looking at $25 million. He's a 35-year-old quarterback. But last year, he completed 65.5% of his passes. He averaged 249.5 yards per pass completion or per pass attempt. He threw 71 touchdowns in the last 2 years. Only 35 interceptions. Has a 2-to-1 ratio. It's pretty good. He also ran for 4 touchdowns and 703 rushing yards. So he's a solid player, much better than anything the Raiders had at this point. And he has a past experience working with Pete Carroll, who's the new head coach of the Raiders. So that should be some instant chemistry. Boop. Okay, next. The Jacksonville Jaguars are cleaning house. They're getting ready to make some big moves in free agency and the draft, which they need to, because that team is all being redone. New general manager, new head coach. They're trying to rebuild the whole team, so they're freeing up the resources to do that. They have released receiver Josh Reynolds. Also, they made several other moves. Let's see if I can locate that real quick. So they also released receiver Devin Duvernay, and they also released cornerback Ronald Darby. Why they do that? To free up cap space. They're trying to free up cap space so that way they can make some moves here next week at the start of free agency and in the draft. We'll see if it pays off for them, okay? The New York Jets have come to an agreement with Irvin Charles. So we'll see the Jets trying to make moves, but also trying to hold on to things that they enjoyed. Of course, they're starting over completely. They got rid of Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. They got a new head coach, and Aaron Glenn. Totally different direction. It's probably going to take a few years. We'll see. They're clearing up space to do that, though. The Detroit Lions re-signed Derek Barnes at linebacker for a 3-year deal for $25.5 million as an extension of his contract. Last year, he injured his knee, his MCL and PCL, but he's hoping to get, the report is he's hoping to come back healthy and should be a starter at linebacker for Detroit Lions, which they need a lot of defensive help. If you watch the Lions versus Washington Commanders game again, you can watch that on NFL Plus. You're going to see they couldn't stop the Commanders' offense, especially the combination of their running quarterback and their passing game. They need a linebacker to come step up. And Barnes was injured, so this gives Barnes a chance to step up and be the guy. Cincinnati Bengals have come to a 1-year agreement with tight end Tanner Hudson, which is they always make weird decisions. Last year, he was replaced after 7 games. He caught 4.1 passes a game for 35.7 yards. They re-signed him for 1 year. They replaced him already. I'm not sure why they're hanging on to him. But I guess we'll see what happens. I don't think the Bengals have a plan, honestly. The Buffalo Bills, another team that tends to lack a plan, have signed linebacker Terrell Bernard, 4-year contract, $50 million. That's a big deal. That's a lot of money. 4 years, $50 million. 2024, he had 100 tackles and interceptions, 4 interceptions. And then in 2023, he had 143. He's very productive. 4 years, $50 million. He better have a big season. Because that's a lot of money for a linebacker. Okay? We'll see how it goes, though. Go Bills. Next, Seattle Seahawks have re-signed Josh Joby. Okay? He's a cornerback for them. They're dumping a lot of their offensive guys. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf's going to get traded maybe for a first and second round pick. He wants $30 million. That's going to make that trade difficult. They have dumped Geno Smith. They're starting over everywhere, but they're re-signing cornerback Josh Joby. I bet he's coming back cheap. So that's a good reason to do that, I guess. All right, next, the Jacksonville Jaguars have released wide receiver Josh Reynolds, another move by the Jaguars. That helps them claim $4.26 million in cap space. You see the trend with the Jaguars. They're dumping salary, creating cap space so they can make moves with their new general manager and head coach and try to turn this team around quickly. The Arizona Cardinals have re-signed Joey Blount. Okay, all right, 2-year contract. Nothing outstanding there. Okay, all right. Next, Tennessee Titans have released linebacker Harold Landry II. Okay, I don't know if that's a big deal. Seattle Seahawks agreed to terms with Brady Russell. Special teams player, had 10 tackles. Okay. The Washington Commanders finally released defensive tackle Jonathan Allen. Remember, they were looking for a trade partner. If they couldn't find a trade partner, they were going to dump him off. They really don't like Jonathan Allen. And now they've released him. So if the team wants to pick him up for the lowest price possible. He's on waivers. I predict maybe the 49ers will do that because they were interested before when they traded Deebo Samuel. They also mentioned, we should have traded for Jonathan Allen. And now they can pick him up for a huge discount. So we'll see if they pick him up. Next, the Atlanta Falcons have released linebacker Nate Landman. If you watched their defense last year, you'll know why. The Indianapolis Colts have released defensive tackle Raekwon Davis. Once again, complicated situation. They released him for non-football illness, so maybe, potentially something mental or something like that. Okay, he had 15 tackles last year, 1 pass breakup. It clears up $66.4 million in cap space. So he wasn't very productive. So why not just release him? Let him go deal with what he needs to deal with and be free from that, okay? And that's the NFL wrap-up, okay? Next, looking at the CFL. An interesting report from 3 Down Nation. They covered the CFL. They're from Canada, okay? The BC Lions, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, are being awarded 2 extra second-round draft picks because they play the higher percentage of Canadian players. If you don't know about CFL, they have something called a ratio rule where you need to play so many Canadian players per play, per game, per year. They want to keep the game Canadian. Now, you do have a lot of American players. You have a few global players. So if you play more Canadian players, that means you get compensation. And they both get 2 extra second-round draft picks. That could be a big deal because the Blue Bombers do a good job of finding personnel. The Lions, it's hard to say what they'll do with those picks. Okay? Finally, in the UFL, nope, there's more CFL. Never mind. Okay? More of the CFL. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, speaking of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they have signed American defensive back, okay, Rashawn Golden. He has played for the Carolina Panthers. He played 24 games for the Panthers from 2018 to 2019. He had 4 solo tackles and 6 assists. And he played for the Giants. And he played for the Raiders for 2 games. Didn't really do much for them. Good chance to come into Winnipeg and make some impacts. They're looking to restock. They let a lot of guys go during free agency because they didn't trust the new salary cap. It was increased by $400,000 this year. They didn't trust that. They think it may go back. There's no commissioner in the CFL right now, so it's hard to say what reality really is for them. And they let a lot of guys go, but they tend to be very good at scouting, and they bring in new guys. So we'll see if that pays off for them. The Edmonton Elks continue to build up their defensive line. They have signed American defensive lineman Joshua Landry. Okay, he started his college career at Baylor, and he played 25 games, had 14 solo tackles to 5 assists. If he was good enough to play in the NFL, he would. So he's getting a chance to play in the CFL. We'll see how it goes. He finished his career playing at Missouri from 2022 to 2023, and he played 25 games, 22 solo, 20. He's a 0.5 sacks. He's a decent player. It sounds like a run stopper. He's going to be a role player. The Elks have a lot of defensive linemen they picked up, so he continues to stack the defensive line. Next, Pat Ruffino of the UFL News Hub and also a couple other sources. He has Analyze and Educate as a channel. Okay, he has announced that just simply he got a report from an agent that said that the Calgary Stampeders have signed American quarterback Josh Love. He loves Josh Love. Josh Love played for the Memphis Showboats in the UFL last year, completed 69.1% of his passes, 38.55 attempts for 318 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He played for the Michigan Panthers in the USFL in 2022-2023, 174 completions, 295, 59%. He had 1,907 yards, 15 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I don't think he's going to make a huge impact in the CFL, but you never know. The Stampeders already have 3 quarterbacks. He may be a cut. For some reason, Pat Ruffino loves Josh Love. We're going to find out, I guess, if he's right. Okay. Next, Calgary Stampeders also signed American running back Deshaun Fenwick, and that's a big deal. He played at Oregon State in 23 games. He had 210 rushing attempts for 1,068 yards and 12 touchdowns. He's a big, powerful running back. And if you look at the last couple Grey Cup champions in the CFL, they have had powerful running backs, okay? The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they have an outstanding running back, okay? The Montreal Alouettes continue to get outstanding running backs. The Toronto Argonauts had outstanding running back. If you want to win the Grey Cup, you better have a powerful running back to keep yourself out of long-range situations. Speaking of running backs, Montreal has signed running back Dejon Edwards. He played for University of Georgia in 2023. He had 881 rushing yards, and he had 13 touchdowns. That's pretty good. He got picked up. He did not get drafted in the NFL. He got picked up by the Pittsburgh Steelers, an undrafted free agent, but he was cut before the season started. He was looking for opportunities. Once again, this is a big, strong back going to Montreal. It's going to make it tough. Tiger guys need to take notes of this. You need a big, strong back to go with the rest of your offense. You need a balance between the run game and the pass game. You can't just go light up the scoreboard with the pass game and not control the pace of the game with your running game. All right, so that is the CFL roundup. And then finally in the UFL, first the Birmingham Stallions. They have went through and added a coach. Lester Erb has been added to their staff. He's replacing Philip Montgomery, who was their co-offensive coordinator and running back tight end coach. He moved on to bigger and better things. They replaced him with Lester Erb. What is his background? Well, he was at LSU. He was a senior analyst for LSU. He had been with the Baltimore Ravens as an offensive quality control guy. He coached running backs and tight ends and wide receivers in the college football, Division I college football, and the Big Ten. He was in Iowa from 2000 to 2012. He was Rutgers. He was Rutgers from 2017 to 2019. And with Nevada, he was in 2013 2016. All of which have good running games. He has knowledge of college schemes, and that's what Skip Holtz runs. He runs a lot of college schemes. He coached at South Florida, Louisiana Tech. He runs a lot of college stuff. It doesn't matter what offense you run in the UFL. It matters if you can control the line of scrimmage and you have balance and you don't make key mistakes. So as long as Lester Erb can help prevent bad mistakes, they're going to continue to be good. Unfortunately, the Stallions will probably be the best team again. Go Brahmas, though. Go Brahmas. Boop, horns forward. Okay? All right. Houston Roughnecks have added a much-needed offensive lineman. Okay, Sean Brown. And, so he had played in the USFL Philadelphia Stars. He had played for the Los Angeles Wildcats in the 2020 XFL. He's been around some places. He played for the Roughnecks last year, but they're bringing him back. And he's a center, and a center's a key position on any offensive line. It's set protection. It's set the direction of the run. They find the Mike backer. So that's a big pickup for the Roughnecks. Two Roughnecks. All right? So that's where we're at. Later today, the NAL will play 2 games. We'll see the Omaha Beef go to the Shreveport Rougarou. And we're going to see the Sioux City Bandits go to the Beaumont Renegades in a battle of the Masked Cowboys. Who do you think's going to win? Timmy, the trash-talking Tiger Shark. I think the Beef's going to win. The Beef's going to win because they're orange and black. And I think the Bandits will win because they have the cooler cowboy with a mask on. Okay, bold moves, Timmy. Good call, though. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about those games as we look forward to the NAL and seeing how our predictions do. And see how well we understand that league. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining Football Scientific. Make sure if you like this video, you subscribe and like the video. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Check out articles about the UFL and UFL News Hub. Also, Indoor Football League is covered there. And probably the NAL a little bit. And then the CFL News Hub, you can check out CFL articles and get more detail. Also, you can check out my Substack and see some articles I've written recently about the Brahmas re-signing running back Anthony McFarland and the Hamilton Tiger Cats cleaning house as they prepare for the CFL draft. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining us for Football Scientific.